Yes. Say,
top of the league. Say, we are top of the league. On my birthday. It's my birthday this week.
Yes, that's right.
Mid-October. We're top of the league.
That's one of our birthdays taken care of, top of the league. I think we would both rather my birthday sees us top of the league, because it would mean that we were Le Champion. Is that era past? Anyway, that was spectacular.
It was something else.
I mean, I said in when can we start getting carried away? Walking around school today, and like strangers were saying things along the lines of "It's a pity City are looking so strong," and like talking about us in terms of a title tilt, which is premature. But
I think that it might be a slight blessing in disguise that City are going to be so relentless, because we can just enjoy the ride. Do you know what I mean? As long as
okay. Did you enjoy yesterday? Honestly, during the game?
No, because it got feisty at times. We got nervy at times. There was some definite injustice going on and some shenanigans from Liverpool players. But the whole time, I mean, that's the thing. I wasn't at Brentford, but were I at Brentford, you know, there are going to be probably more games like that than there are like the one against Liverpool. Because for all the criticism Liverpool are getting, they were good for majority of the first half.
Well, they had the better of the first half, definitely, and they were unlucky to be going in one goal down, for sure.
Although they made errors on both goals, which is tough. I don't care. But
yeah. I will. It was interesting because there was a sense of injustice at the game, during the game, but not the big decisions. And retrospectively, that handball for Gabriel could have gone against us. It really could have got. I don't think it was a hand. It should never have been a penalty. But I hadn't watched Match of the Day on Saturday night. But Newcastle conceded a penalty, and Dan Burn had his back to the ball, and the ball travelled a similar distance, hit his hand, and it was given as a penalty. Yeah. So not only have we seen them given, we saw them given the day before. I did watch a little bit of this evening's game, Forest Villa, before I fell asleep because it was awful. However, Konsa went down in the box, and I don't know who the Forest player was, Yates, I think, did exactly. I mean, it was a carbon copy of what Thiago did to Jesus yesterday.
And they didn't
Nothing. No. Referee didn't give it. VAR didn't get involved. Sky replayed it several times, and the commentators were saying, that's the same as Thiago on Jesus yesterday. So, yes, absolutely. That's what drives the football fan mad about VAR. Because VAR was supposed to eliminate that. Mm-hmm. Because if you've got... You couldn't blame the referee for missing things, for that level of inconsistency, because they see it once and that's it. But VAR don't see it once; they see it multiple times, and so that consistency should be there. So,
but they see it slow motion. And
but they don't. Those two incidents, the handball, Newcastle, and then the tackle tonight in the box from the Forest on Villa player. We got both of those decisions in our favour yesterday. Now, there was a lot of other injustice. There was a lot of tackles. It really was interesting. I heard someone tweet that Liverpool were trying to physically bully us.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work at all. No. Because it actually got the crowd fired up and then got the players fired up. And it was like, we might be a young team, but I tell you what, there's metal there now. There's character. rewind a little bit. The pre-match was interesting.
Yeah,
Insofar as it's a little bit muted, wasn't it?
it was very muted, and there was an argument to say that the Spurs one was so good. Because it's Spurs, it's the local rivals, but the early kickoff meant people were kind of twiddling their thumbs and perhaps got to the ground early to ramp up the atmosphere, have a drink, and this, that, and the other. And because Liverpool was a later kickoff, fans could stay in the pub a bit longer and just wander to the game.
So
it was very quiet in the concourse, but at the same time, I feel like the atmosphere was still brilliant
until 10 minutes before kickoff. It was really quiet,
it was
and then that from about like what time kickoff was it? 4:30. From about 4:20 onwards, all of a sudden there was noise.
It was go time, yeah.
And I said to Indigo leaving, my ears were ringing like I'd stood in front of a speaker in a nightclub for the last 3 hours. But they weren't ringing for the Spurs game. And this is not in the concourse. In the concourse, that was really loud, pre-Spurs. I mean, that was mental. That was insane. I was chatting to a guy today, shout out, because his dad is Brian Talbot, and one of my all-time faves. And I was chatting to him, and he was at the Fulham game with his dad. I think I messaged you. Were you at that game? I don't think you were at that game, Fulham.
No, I wasn't at Fulham. We were here.
Yeah, and that was where in the concourse outside Block 6, 40 minutes before kickoff, it was mental. And I was like, what the hell is this? It's Fulham at home, 40 minutes before kickoff, and it is absolutely bouncing. And he was saying that his dad, Brian Thomas, said, there has been no other atmosphere at the Emirates like this. This is different. And you have to now go.
It was called the Highbury Library.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So Arsenal fans and Arsenal fandom has a reputation for being quite muted and civilized. So
and it's like, because I keep saying, and I think it's got to be the grey cells, the memory, like not what it was, etc. But normally it works the other way. You kind of romanticize or exaggerate or glorify the past. Atmospheres and so on, and I do remember certain atmospheres like Cardiff, Wembley for the Liverpool Cup final was like hairs on the back of your neck, like what the hell?
For big occasions and for entertaining games.
But this is every game, like every game. I don't know about the Europa League. I haven't been to a home game in the Europa League, but every league game. Doesn't matter the opposition. It'll be interesting now. The next opposition up there is Nottingham Forest, isn't it? So, a lot will depend on how we get on at Leeds and Southampton in the interim. I don't want to say we need to get 9 points from 9 there, but we do. If we want to maintain, we should be we're at that level. And those players who started yesterday will only be playing one game a week. So there's that 2 games a week. Stick that if we were in the Champions League, ironically, we would have to be playing our strongest team in the Champions League. There would be no resting for the key league players. So,
and that's why the likes of Man City and even Chelsea, to some extent, invest in such a big squad and such quality and depth. They need a full bench of absolute stars to be able to draw from. For that reason.
I just hope Haaland does get an injury. I know, I think he's brilliant, and he seems like a really nice guy, and I don't wish him any ill in that sense. But purely as an Arsenal fan, it would just make things a little bit more interesting.
Do you not think they'd win the title without?
No. Okay. Well, listen. I don't know. Was it you that said that? I don't know. To me yesterday, and my response was, yeah. No, it was someone today. In fact, I said yes, but their whole play now has got this focal point. So all it would take would be a couple of games of an adjustment or a drop off. I mean, don't forget, as someone else also said, City have only played one of the big 6, and they've drawn 2 games. So and so people keep saying to us, oh, you haven't played anyone yet. Well, we've played 3 of the big 6 and lost 1 game overall. So why aren't, and we have got a far, far inferior squad to Manchester City. You know, I'd love to compare the wage bills for starters. I mean, I was going through, you got Haaland, you got Grealish, you got Foden, you got Gundogan, you got Silva, you got De Bruyne. Like, I don't know how I reel off those names in the same order each time, I think, because I'm always left with De Bruyne, who's like probably the most crucial cog in that machine. So if you want someone getting injured for a few months, it's De Bruyne, really. But look, those players are ridiculous. Like, it's mad. but then I look at us, but other teams will now be saying, especially after yesterday, Jesus, fine. Saka has built his reputation last season, and he's developing that this season. Martinelli's the kind of, he's lit the blue touch paper this season. He is like, he was unplayable yesterday at times. I mean, you saw what Gomez had to do to him. He had to actually smash him into the hole. Yeah, like, and that was the only way of dealing with him. And he still got back up. And
it's the fact that Liverpool had to resort to basically shithousery.
Yeah, and hooking their strikers for midfielders, you know, like 2 games in a row, Conte and Klopp. Like, it's I want to see us through another fan's eyes, but I can't, obviously. I mean, I can, you know, and at school, like, fans from different, like, I got a Watford fan today saying, you guys are bloody good. You know, like, he's got no loyalty or allegiance to Arsenal at all. He's like, no, you guys are really good. Like, and he was a lot more. He thought that was I mean, I think I watched the second half back. We were in total control, and once we went 3-2 up, Liverpool didn't have a sniff. There was that one penalty. It looked to us, and it did go to VAR. Tierney did really well. Harvey Elliott should have been booked for diving. He complete simulation. He anticipated Tierney's foot, but Tierney didn't. Tierney was clever. Like, it was really good defending, because had Tierney moved his foot like half a foot, it was a penalty, and 3-3. But apart from that, there wasn't any real danger as such once we went 3-2 up. And I'm like,
didn't feel like that.
No, it didn't. It didn't. And it was like 7 minutes of stoppage time as well, which like kind of compounded that sense. But we were in control. Yeah. I mean, their goal was their second half goal, their second equaliser was completely against the run of play. Erdegaard should have buried his chance. We had a bit of ping pong in the box as well. I said we should have scored that. You asked me straight away, well, who should have scored that? And I said, doesn't matter who, but from that position, Martinelli, with the 3 players we had there, that should have been a goal. We need to, and then Firmino, 1 chance, 1 goal. You know, that level of efficiency we still haven't got. But we're a lot better. What did we have? Someone said 46 touches in the Liverpool penalty box. Yeah. Only one team.
All I get, I've even been getting messages while this Forest game was on of Liverpool fans still moaning about the decisions, and it's like, but this is probably why they won't move beyond this patch, because they're not looking at themselves. You know, it can't be everyone else's fault. You know, you've sold Mane, you've got some, you know,
they've got like, the average age is 4 years older than us, and I think that says a lot for the style of play that Klopp wants. It's high octane, high energy, high press, and they just haven't got the legs anymore.
No.
Team selection: Tomiyasu at left back. Discuss.
Well, we said this better pay off for Arteta, because we would have all gone with Tierney. He had a good 70 minutes against Bodo on Thursday, where he was even, you know, shooting at will and adding other elements to his game. And then you talked about the whole tactic of perhaps having a right footer on that side to keep Salah quiet, when actually, as good as Tomiyasu was with his feet and making tackles and looked surprisingly comfortable for someone whose stronger foot was on the other wing, it was just the fact that Liverpool kept trying to go over the top and play into that space, and Tomiyasu just kept nodding it away. Just back again, gone.
And Salah was hooked at 65 minutes or whatever it was.
There was a spell when Liverpool were on top that Xhaka was sort of slotting in to almost double up on Salah, but thankfully that didn't necessarily bring anyone else into the game. Thiago had quite a lot of space, but
in that first half,
in that midfield away from goal, and they just kept trying to play it wide, and it was only because of Gabriel's touch that they managed to get that.
I mean, because there's even an argument to say that had everyone been fit, Zinchenko still wouldn't have played at left back. I would have played Tierney in that game at left back. Yeah. So to not it was like it paid off.
To have that flexibility now around the place is just incredible. And even Monday Night Football earlier, Carragher was doing an analysis of the game, and in the build-up to that first goal in the first minute, we set up clearly. This is what they said. I'm just repeating that to force the ball left, and then there was this moment where a ball comes out to the left to I think Tsimikas, I'm not sure, and Ben White just sprints towards him, just goes, and everyone then shifts across, including Tomiyasu, which gives you you still keep your sort of balance of numbers against any potential beating of our press. But Ben White goes. Ben White was brilliant.
He was, yeah.
It's really hard to pick up. I mean, Gabriel.
Right, stop. I've actually gone through the whole team and given them this marks out of 10. So I thought that was quite an interesting, because I thought that might be an interesting way of going through the game, actually going through it player by player and seeing, well, actually, let's see the game through their positioning. But go on. So, because the Martinelli goal, Saliba nearly lost it, didn't he? And then he recovered. Yeah. And then it came from that. I can't remember.
I feel like Saliba's got that recovery in him where Gabriel might not.
Mm.
And Gabriel is he's the full-blooded, life on the edge kind of defender against the, serene, very zen
completely unruffleable.
Oh, it's just amazing. Tomiyasu playing the way he did, he probably gets bonus points just because of he's out of position, really.
Okay. Ramsdale, out of 10.
Good game when he was called upon. Nothing we could really do about the goals.
No,
that was more about the build-up.
I thought Firmino's goal should have been saved in real time, but then I saw the replay. I thought it was just a very, very good finish.
Very good finish, yeah. He saved Saliba's shot.
He did,
pretty well. He's not coming for crosses in the most commanding way.
Liverpool are a very big side. I wonder, was that a deliberate decision not to confuse matters there?
Yeah. But fine, just good.
He did a couple of Cruyff-esque turns with Liverpool strikers bearing down on them, and actually they scored from one of them, as in he kicked it out.
Yes.
They scored the Núñez goal from that throw in, but there were other mistakes made there. But okay, so go on, out of 10.
I mean, that's a solid 7.
Yeah, I've written 7. Yeah, because he didn't have a lot to do.
It's a James Milner, a 7.
But he didn't have a lot to do either, did he? I mean, that's a testament to the defence in front of him. He didn't have a huge lot to do. Okay, Ben White.
I mean, he's up there. It's an 8, isn't it? Or maybe even a 9. I think he's brilliant.
I've gone with a 9. I thought he was. Right. I thought that was his best game.
You've got to understand this. Okay, so me and a couple of friends, we got a little WhatsApp group going where literally all we do is share film stuff and TV stuff. And so we do our little IMDb ratings and things like that. And I am the harshest marker in the world. So when I say an 8, I probably mean everyone else would give a 9.
Well, I think that was his best game at right back. I think that was.
Well, this is the thing. Arguably, and I say very much arguably, he's the best right back at the club, and he's not even a right back.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite damning in one sense until
Well,
you realise how well
by the
he's been
by.
playing. Yeah.
And then I only quote that because someone online said that he's the best right back in the Premier League at the minute, and he's not even a right back.
Yeah. and England won't select him. Although,
I think Reece James might have something to say about that,
Yeah.
but he's playing very well.
Right, so I went with 9 for White. Saliba.
Saliba's an 8 or maybe even a 9 again. He's just so commanding, so calm. Love him.
I went with an 8 simply because they scored 2 goals down the middle. He got dragged out for the first one, but that's more because Gabriel kind of got that half touch to it that allowed Diaz to cut across in front of Saliba, and then that took Saliba out, and Gabriel couldn't get back quick enough to cover the cross for Gabriel, the cross for Nunes. So I gave Saliba an 8, and then also there was a little bit of criticism of Saliba's positioning to allow Firmino to run past him for that goal, and I think that's a slight positional thing, but he's 21. He'll take that, and great to have a little bit of positional naivety and still win the game. Right, Gabriel.
Right, so overall probably a 6, but
Can you see my paper?
No. I might even bump him up a mark just for being where he was when we scored that second goal. He was in the 6-yard box.
Okay, and he dummied it. He dummied it like that.
What was he doing there?
But also, did you see what he did just before that? He looked over his shoulder and saw Saka behind him.
Yeah.
So he knew, that was real presence of mind. He knew that he wasn't
a Brazilian centre back.
Yeah. I've given him a 6.
He's on the edge. I get nervous sometimes with him.
Yeah, on the basis that he could have conceded a penalty with another referee, and also he got that touch that actually was a nothing touch. If he'd left it, Saliba could have got it, or if he got more on it, he could have booted it.
His mindset, Gabriel's mindset is, I'm not sure, so I'm better doing something than nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas Saliba almost has that kind of, it's not hesitancy.
No, it's not. It's that composure.
Composure, yeah.
Yeah, because if Gabriel had left it and Saliba hadn't dealt with it, Gabriel's pace, natural stride, would have taken him back into the centre and covered Nunes. But because he went for that, he had to break his stride. He touched the ball. His momentum was completely gone, and he could not get back in time to block the cross that Nunes scored from. So, yeah, and I know that there's someone in his defence said that he's played with how many different left backs, and that might be having some impacts on his game. Whereas Saliba has had Ben White next to him every single game. Yeah. And there is an element of that because he's had Zinchenko, he's had Tierney, and now he's had Tomiyasu. So there's 3 different fullbacks in 9 games. So I thought, right, okay, fair enough. Maybe that is. I mean, maybe he's having. And the point they were making was, especially with Tomiyasu and Salah, was that he was maybe like Xhaka came back a few times more than we would have normally seen him. There was an awareness that maybe he had to do that little bit more to protect his left back, his out of position left back, if you like. Tomiyasu.
I sort of want to give him 10 out of 10. He's on the wrong side for his natural foot. He's up against Salah, albeit, an out of form Salah. And just, having not played, the most amount of minutes, I thought he was incredible. And
what are you giving him?
Comfortable on the ball.
Yeah, what are you giving him?
No, it's a 9.
Okay, I've gone with an 8, so maybe I'm a bit harsh. Well, it
was an amazing performance.
We'll give him an 8.5. We split the difference. And again, he's another one he doesn't get ruffled.
No.
And you can't intimidate him. You can't get under his skin. He's completely his composure is like, and we've got Gabriel aside, but we've got Ben White, who can be a wind-up merchant but doesn't get wound up himself. Saliba, who's just like the personification of cool, and Tomiyasu, who's similar. But Tierney doesn't get wound up or aggravated, and Zinchenko certainly doesn't either. So we've actually got quite a solid composed. Gabriel's the one wild card in that.
And Xhaka.
Well, no, I'm talking about in the defence. Yeah,
Oh.
Yes, in the team perhaps. Although Xhaka this season, can't fault him really. He was right. If what we thought happened, if what we've heard happened yesterday, then he was bang on to confront Jordan Henderson. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see what comes out in the wash. Right, Thomas Partey.
6.
Okay, well that's interesting because I've actually split his scores into two halves: first
this
half
is the
and
thing.
second
First
half.
half, the 6, giving the ball away time and time again, and then I mean, much better in the second half.
So I went first half 4, second half 8.
Oh,
because I thought he was excellent in the second half. I thought he really was. So that split the difference, and that's a 6. But then I think a 6 is a bit harsh, just because his second half, we controlled that second half, and that was down to him a lot. He didn't give the ball away in the second half, but he gave the ball away a lot in the first half. Also, our midfield dropped too deep, didn't get close enough to their midfield in the first half. That didn't happen in the second half. We if we ceded possession in the second half, it was to their back line, not to the midfield. Xhaka.
He's an 8. Doing what he's doing. Maybe even more.
I went an 8.5, 8.5.
8, yeah, I think an 8. He was just taking up great positions to pick up those knockdowns, those second balls, and competing in the tackle and laying off the passes, putting in crosses. He was sort of everywhere.
His energy is something I hadn't really credited him with before. His energy levels are on a par with Ødegaard. And Ødegaard, one of the things you notice about Ødegaard is his engine is relentless, he's constant. But like in the 85th, 90th minute, Xhaka was still making that angle down the left-hand side for Martinelli and whoever was, Tierney to play the ball. And he was still and then sprinting back and yesterday was the first time I really noticed his energy levels. That his engine he's one fit dude. I don't know who would say, but he's and touch wood, quite robust as well. So I'd like him not to start the game against Bodo away, but I suspect he will.
Yeah, because Partey's the one you've got to.
Oh, Partey's not even. Hopefully, not even going to travel. There's no point.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not going to play. So Ødegaard.
I mean, just for the pass alone, for Martinelli's first goal, that's worth a 9. But it would be an 8 overall, I think, simply because he probably afforded Thiago a little bit too much time and space.
First half, definitely, yeah.
Definitely first half, but was still, fairly integral for knitting things together and just generally, leading by example.
Yeah, I went with an 8 as well.
What an assist! What an assist for Martinelli.
Yeah, well, it made Martinelli didn't have to break stride.
No.
He just knew he had just kind of do the
Henry
type finish.
Yeah, like you say, I didn't when I first saw the replay, I couldn't even see that angle on for the pass, but the weight of the pass as well.
Yeah,
like
just perfect. Saka.
I mean, I want to give him a 10.
No.
Oh, really? 9?
Can't get a 10.
Why not?
Well, you didn't get a hat trick.
Shut up.
Well, okay. If you're going to give a 10 to Saka, who gets it? How do you kind of reward a 10?
I started off being a little bit hard.
I gave him a 9. I gave him a 9. Yeah,
he's a 9.
I mean, he's a 9. Because they double up on him, they kick him, and he still scores 2 goals. And the nerves for that penalty.
Do you know why I think he's a 9? Because if anyone's going to get the top score, it might be Martinelli.
Well, who was your man of the match? So who was your man of the match?
Yeah, Martinelli.
Yeah, Martinelli was my man of the match as well. So yes,
he was electric.
Yeah. So okay, Saka 9, and we have to give a nod to the the composure with that penalty. I mean,
Awesome.
yeah, even Klopp couldn't watch.
Have you heard the Peter Drury commentary?
Oh yes, oh yes. Why who's he? Is he? Who does he work for?
Don't really know. I
Is
imagine
it
it's
being?
either
Is it being Sports or someone
beIN
like
or
that?
Premier League or someone. Yeah, exactly.
Why have
What a
Sky
waste.
not got him? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Martin Tyler's commentary was the most grey, like. Oh, but Peter Drury,
I'm not a fan of
the
Martin.
poise, the
Yeah,
noise.
that's it.
Okay. Oh yeah. Right, Martinelli.
Well, it's going to be a 9.5 then, isn't he?
Yes, it is. Can't give a 10 because you have to, we haven't had a 10 yet.
That'd be the perfect game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in terms of totally destroying a team,
The whole left-hand side got changed.
he's
The
close.
whole left-hand side
Yeah.
got changed.
And he was interviewed after the game, and I thought, surely he's been into the change rooms, he's showered, he's changed, and he's put another Arsenal top on, because he looks like he'd just popped out for a minute. Like he did not look like he'd put in such a ridiculously relentless 90 minutes. I'm like, wow, okay.
Well, we saw him at that sort of meet and greet thing, and he was getting his Man of the Match award and doing a little video online, but on the side of the pitch. And like you say, just look, so chilled out.
Yeah, Jesus.
A 9. You just can't fault his work ethic.
No,
He's
and I put 8.5 down, only because he didn't get a goal, I think, but and he didn't come close to scoring either, which I think's a bit harsh.
Exactly, that's part of his forward play was to bring in Saka and Martinelli.
And he sets the tone with his and there was one moment where he was making a tackle in the left back position.
I know.
In the deep into the second half as well. It's like, that's Jesus there. I didn't notice it in the game, but when I watched the second half again, I thought, bloody hell. I mean, like, there is a conversation to have, though. Apparently, like, there's a lot of people saying that Tsimikas was a deliberate, nasty elbow and he should have got a red card for it.
Bit naughty.
But if Jesus was out, why did he play again?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. Was he out? But it looks. I haven't seen it properly, but it looks like he was a bit. He'd lost awareness for a period of time, and
it didn't look good, did it?
No, and you don't. That decision, as much as you wouldn't want him out, that decision isn't his to make. Is it 10 days concussion thing?
Like that, yeah.
So he'd missed the Leeds game as well.
But if that's what it takes to look after the players,
no, absolutely,
safety, then
absolutely,
you have to follow the medical advice. I mean, it's a massive thing in rugby at the moment because
the people are going down. Like there's 75 rugby players taking the RFU to court.
Well, the problem is as well that because it used to be the big guys tackling the big guys and the little guys tackling the little guys. But the problem is now they're all big guys and they're getting hit with such force.
But they were saying it's the training that they're getting head hit 30 times every training session.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and the stories that are coming out now, I haven't read a lot about it, but the stories that are coming out now are saying if you were knocked out, you were like, come on, get up, man up and go again.
Mm.
You were not allowed to and you wouldn't get into the team. You know, if you kind of wussed out with the concussion, your teammates. No, I'm not having it. You've not got the right character for this. Then
I don't think it'll take too long to change that culture. But the problem is, they'll talk about the high stakes, and the fact that you want to keep your best players on the pitch and all that sort of thing. But like you say, you've got to take that decision away. Whether that requires independent medics or what, I don't know. I mean, that's essentially what you have in boxing, really. Each corner is assigned a doctor who does a neurological assessment. I mean, effectively, it's still two people punching each other in the head until one falls down. So, there's only so much you can do. But in terms of, cutting off before serious damage is done, that's what happens. So whether sport can adopt that, there's enough money in football to make it happen. Rugby's a slightly different beast, as is the case with Worcester going out of business this week.
Yeah, that's
a bit of a surprise, but there you go. So yeah, it was surprising. It was worrying when he went down. Nothing was made of it in terms of a foul. In fact, I think he gave a foul to Liverpool. He gave a free kick to Liverpool for the initial sort of challenge between the two players, whoever they were, that happened before.
Erdegaard was on the floor, wasn't he? Yeah, I didn't focus on the actual elbow enough to have an opinion on it. I don't.
It's a bit naughty.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to crow about it like Liverpool fans.
Yeah. Right. So okay, I think I need to bump Jesus up from an 8.5 to a 9. I think that's I don't know. I can't imagine when he'd ever be below a 9. Really.
Well, this is it.
Maybe missing a lot of chances might be one.
And
we don't win a game. We don't win a game when he misses a chance.
It's the James Milner principle, where a player just doesn't drop below a certain level. You will always get a 7 out of 10 from James Milner, regardless of what goes on in the game. And we've needed players like that with that level of consistency. And now it feels like we've got a good few who are always going to be of a certain level, which
higher than a 7,
paying dividends at the moment.
Yeah. So I that was like, it's been a confusing 24 hours for me as an Arsenal fan, because I'm not quite sure how to. There were about 3 Arsenal fans in school today, and we I walked in. I only teach half day, second half of the day, and so I strolled in at break time, and just so happened that I met one of the other Arsenal fans, and then another one just turned up, and we just kind of gathered, and then so we kept getting comments from other staff that were walking past who knew that we were all Arsenal fans, and it was like the jealousy was palpable, but us three, we were like, we're not sure how to behave. Like, we all expect it to come crumbling down any second, but at the same time, we're thinking, hang on a minute, Liverpool could get a result against Man City, and we could be 4 points clear on Sunday. Like, so you got that to that extreme at the moment, and it's like,
well, this is the thing. I keep reading lots of stuff online. There's all those people who are trying to bait Arsenal fans by sort of saying, "Yeah, I'm not that impressed. You'll only be fine for top 4." But I seriously don't know any Arsenal fan who's getting that carried away.
No,
everyone just is enjoying what's happening, just enjoying it,
which I think is winding the others up even more.
Yeah. Because they're hoping that we do the whole Arsenal fan TV, we're going to win everything, blah, blah, blah. And no one's doing that. Everyone's just going, this is great, isn't it? This is really good. Isn't football brilliant?
Yeah.
And everyone's going, no, you're supposed to be Arsenal fans. You're supposed to be entitled and privileged and over the top. And we're just like, nope, we're just enjoying it. It's all about...
There's so many, like...
the connection.
It's almost... It's like it's new.
Yeah,
it's like I don't recognise my club.
Nope.
And there's that image. I don't know if you saw it. The Ashburton Army on the way to the game.
Oh my God.
The arches there where I go. They had the flare through there. I'm like, this is some like European team.
I mean, they're modelling themselves on that European sort of model, but so what?
No, but yes, absolutely. It's about
dynamics
time.
Have shifted post-COVID so much.
Yeah, it seems like it's a younger. And I was saying this to someone today, that there's less old fogies like me who keep saying, well, Wenger's team was. Yes. It's like, because enough, like a whole decade has passed, and there's a new 20-year-olds isn't going to remember a Wenger team in the flesh, because they were too young. So it's like, I mean, are we 16 years at the Emirates now?
What was it, 2006?
Yeah, so 16 years, right? So that's a generation.
Yeah, it is.
And so you've got people who are 30 and under who may have been attending games. Like if they were attending games, if a 30-year-old was attending games for 16 years, that they were 14, and we weren't successful at 14 when they were 14. We've won a few FA Cups.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's something kind of fundamental has shifted in the Arsenal fan base, and I am all on board for it.
Brilliant.
And this, yeah, it's like I don't understand it. I'm like, yeah, is it when can we sustain this? What And if we keep a fit squad, which Liverpool did to win the league,
Leicester did
to win the league. If we keep a fit squad, then we're top 2. I can't go further than that. But we are playing so well. We have such good players.
Character.
And yesterday was as much about character as anything, because we said it watching it when we went 1-0 up. We sat back and it was almost like we didn't believe we had the right to be 1-0 up.
It was the first time since probably even going as far back as the Palace game, first game of the season, where we'd got ahead and then I felt like there was a little bit of fear crept in.
Yeah,
it was like, okay, right, what do we do? Do we defend? Do we press? And we kind of didn't really do either. And Liverpool then asserted themselves. And then, presumably at half time, having scored that second goal with a really good opportunist sort of break, the message was just, look, they're there for the taking. Go for it.
That's what he said, actually. He said, I think he used that in one of his, or one of the players did. We said they're there for the taking at half time. And I think that was, and again, and the response was perfect.
Brilliant.
I mean, we should have scored in that first 6 or 7 minutes, and that game then was over 3-1. I think that the fight was gone. I mean, I wouldn't have felt it at the game, but looking back on a game, if we'd gone 3-1 up like it was against Spurs, that the fight was out of them. But then to come back, to get pegged back again, I think I read somewhere it's the first time in 20 odd years that Liverpool have gone behind 3 times in one game. Yeah, it's like that 46 touches in the opposition box has only been surpassed by one team, and that's Man City. So I think that 46 touches is more than we've had in the last 5 matches against Liverpool combined. It's like we couldn't get near them for 5 games.
No.
And we
mentally assumed that, so maybe sat deeper than we needed to anyway. But yeah.
And we had Lacazette, who was a non-goal scoring striker for a few of those games.
We just also didn't have the pace and the engine.
Yeah.
To go with it. Never had it. And it says a lot that through 3 managers, Wenger and then Emery and then Arteta, Lacazette was good for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now Jesus gets to points in games where I'm thinking, should we take him off now?
Yes,
look after him. And he's
because
like,
he'll just keep going.
Just keep going.
He'll break.
Well, I hope not. Yeah, like you say, keep them fit. Leeds next week.
Yeah, 2:00.
Bodo first. Bodo first.
Leeds game's not on telly, which I'm so happy about.
Oh really? What? So
because I can have a break.
All right, I'm going.
Yes, I know, and I haven't got the energy for that now.
I love it. Leeds.
Yeah, that's allowed.
First time at Ellen Road last year was just deafening. It was amazing. So
I haven't watched. I can't say I've watched any of their games. I don't know what to expect from them. I don't know who their danger.
I can't say I've seen a lot of Leeds. They're just a bit kind of there, aren't they? Which is probably a good thing. They're a Premier League outfit, and you just kind of accept it. But
I don't think they're struggling. But they lost to who they lose to at the weekend. Lost to Palace.
But Palace are a good side. They can beat people as they have us in recent memory. So
So that's a total. Right, hang on. I've got the fixture list for the weekend up. So on the Saturday, there's only one game that kind of has significance for us, and it's Spurs at home to Everton. 5:30 kickoff.
Everton are plucky, but
See, I think you got to go home win, but I don't think Everton will go for a win. I think Everton will play for a draw. So that tactic kind of like Brighton would go for the game, would play on the front foot. Spurs beat them. Well, Everton sit back, so this game could have 0-0 written all over it.
Everton could do a Spurs to Spurs because they're probably better on the counter. They've got Cody and Tarkovsky now, who are better.
They're far better. Their strength is defensively, yes.
And then pace on the break with Gordon and Gray and Iwobi and the like. Yeah.
So
Calvert-Lewin came back as well. Played
okay, good. So I think Spurs home win, but I might, half eye on a draw, if we're lucky. Then on Sunday, then there's these games are all at 2:00. Chelsea travel to Villa, and Chelsea will win that one, pretty comfortably. United are home to Newcastle. Now that could be an interesting one.
Newcastle gets in form.
Yeah, Newcastle are doing well.
Goals.
So, yeah, maybe a draw in that game. I mean, I'm disappointed with the weekend's results because I thought the Spurs would drop points at Brighton, or hoped Spurs would drop points at Brighton, and I hoped United would drop points at Everton, but neither happened. But they would have all wanted us to drop points at home to Liverpool, and that didn't happen, so we win. And then we're away at Leeds. It's a game that you would like to think we'd win. We won it last season, but that was a bit of a false that they were COVID rattled last year.
Well, they had longer term injuries, not even COVID, to Bamford and Cooper. Cooper at the back is so important to them. He's a leader on the pitch. He's their captain. He's massive for them. So,
is Bamford still out though?
Bamford's back, but only just back. So whether he's fully up to speed, I don't really know. But they've sold Calvert-Lewin and Rafinha as well.
Not Calvert-Lewin, Phillips.
The Calvert-Phillips, sorry.
Yeah.
I know they've replaced them.
This Anderson fella seems quite good.
Aronson,
right? He seems quite good.
People are talking him up, and Rodrigo is always
goals,
energetic and input. So it's never going to be an easy game. But
and the atmosphere will be
electric,
white hot.
Yes.
I lived in Leeds for a year. I have a soft spot for them. They hate Man United as much as I do. So, and then it's Manchester City travelling to Liverpool at 4:30. The wounded beast.
Sort of want to see how far this Liverpool dip in form can go.
No,
I really do.
Yeah, okay, that's ridiculous. We want Liverpool to win.
No, I'm not bothered.
How did you not want Liverpool to win?
No.
Well, first of all, the Invincibles. First of all, the Invincibles. They're playing Man City.
Look, yeah, I absolutely want Man City to lose at some point. Of course I do.
Yes, but so this. If we beat Leeds beforehand, our game finishes before City start. If we beat Leeds, we're 4 points clear of Man City, and if they go to Liverpool and lose, look, it's still only 10 games gone, and that's just over a quarter of the season. But that's got to be what an Arsenal fan wants, surely, by the end of Sunday to be 4 points clear of Man City.
Yeah, but it won't. If we beat Leeds,
Stefan, you say very few things that perplex me, and that I think you need to take give your head a wobble.
if we beat Leeds, I just don't care.
Why? Because
I don't care.
We're going to need more than a 1 point cushion to stay above Man City.
But I'm not worrying about finish and staying above Man City.
What? Why not?
Enjoy the ride.
I am enjoying the ride, and part of that enjoyment is thinking, how far can we take this? Like Leicester.
Look, the fact that we're, even
yes, it's brilliant. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm looking at Man City's fixture, thinking we'd benefit from them losing. Like, when have Arsenal had that?
Well, not for.
We haven't. No. We've never been a contender or a competitor for Manchester City. The those eras didn't overlap.
Do you think Guardiola has got bored with winning the Premier League, that
Yeah,
he's basically decided to
I read
create
that.
his own opposition?
Yeah.
You know.
He's given us 2 players to start us off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd take. No, I don't know. Maybe. Well, I'd take Haaland next, obviously, but maybe. In fact, I'd probably take someone like Silva. I think he's
David Silva.
no Bernardo Silva. He's
Oh,
brilliant. He's like.
Well, yeah.
But
I'd take Cancelo at left back.
Really? Yeah, I mean, I think he's an amazing player. I think he's brilliant. Or take what's the fella Rodri in midfield. If you think of the position that we need.
Oh yes, that is a very, very good point. Who would they bring off the bench? I suppose that's what they bought Calvin Phillips for.
Well, against Man United, famously, Rodri didn't play, and the 2 first choice centre backs didn't play. Didn't seem to bother them too much.
Oh no,
they won 6. But they've drawn 2 games against Villa and Newcastle now. Newcastle, fair enough, it was away, but Villa.
Yeah, I know. I must admit that is bizarre, isn't it? It's just one of those days, I guess. Yeah. Right. Well, it's going to be an interesting weekend.
That was a stat. We've won 8 of our first 9 Premier League games. The last club to win 8 of their first 9 Premier League games and not win the league was Arsenal in 2007.
I knew you were going to say that.
And before that, the last club to win 8 of their first 9 league games and not win the league was Arsenal in 2004-05. So,
okay.
We're good.
The same again.
We're good at this. I don't know though. I don't know how the stats work when it's 9 from 10 or 10 from 11 or 11 from 12, because we should win the next 3 games. I've just looked in October. I don't know who we play in November. Chelsea. We played Chelsea.
Wolves and Chelsea, yeah.
So hang on. It's Arsenal away to Chelsea on the Sunday the 6th, 12 o'clock kickoff. You're going to get a ticket for that one?
What, for Chelsea?
Yeah.
No, I didn't put in for it.
Oh,
I've been burned by Stamford Bridge, and then I didn't go last year, and we did really well. Was that 3-2 or 4-2? I can't remember. And then, yeah,
I've seen us lose 6-0 there when we had the sending off a case of mistaken identity. Ashley Cole and was it Kieran Gibbs? No, not Ashley Cole. Theo Walcott and Kieran Gibbs. I think one of them.
I don't really like going to Chelsea, if I'm honest. Of all the places I could go, I don't like going there.
Well, that's tough though. November, we've got those 2 games in November: away to Chelsea and away to Wolves. And the Wolves game's on a Saturday night at 7:45.
I've put in for that one. I've never been to Molineux. In all the years they've been in the Premier League now, it's always been on a bloody midweek or a Monday or something, and I haven't been able to go.
I've seen us draw there a couple of times. But it's still the coldest ground I've been to. I was wearing Converse and it was like -5 degrees, and my feet were, blocks.
I'll wrap it warm.
So who are the other teams playing? Man United away to Villa. Spurs, Liverpool play the same day as we play Chelsea.
Let's not worry about what the others are doing. Keep focusing on what we're doing.
That's part of the fun. Yeah, it's nice. Like, you don't have to worry about Liverpool's results now. But you've got to worry about City until we go on a bad run of form, and you'll hanker after the days where a Man City loss was good news for us. We'll be back to the familiar. We want them to beat all our other rivals.
Yep.
Right. Okay. What is it? Bodo. I'm not going to see any of the Bodo game. I'm working till 8 o'clock on Thursday, by which point the game is over.
Oh, is it an early one?
Yeah, it's a 6 o'clock kickoff or something, 6:15 or something like that.
Okay. Well, I'll miss most of it then.
Yes.
I might record it and then watch it as an 8 o'clock kickoff. I could do that, but then they're going to be talking about it all over the bloody shop, aren't
Yeah, I'll probably know the score, but
Yeah.
I'll record it anyway and watch
I'll figure it out.
watch the key moments
Cool.
or something like that. I don't want any. I want the same team to start against Bodo that started the first game. When's Elneny back? Did you ask him?
I didn't ask him, but I don't think it's any time particularly soon. Put it that way. So we shall see.
Right. Okay.
I need to go.
On we go. On we go. Still top of the league after 2 home games against Spurs and Liverpool.
Top of the league. Say we are top of the league.
Yeah. Right. On that note, have a good one.
See you later.